I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. We pair wines with food, we pair beers with food. Today we take our next step in pairings. So pour yourself another cup of joe and join me as we pair coffee with food today on SoFlo Taste. This is South Florida. It's where I live and work. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. South Florida is more than sun, sand, and sea. It's a lifestyle of fashion, sound, culture, and of course, food. Food with taste from all over the world. Join me as we celebrate the food of South Florida and the people who love it. Join me as we experience SoFlo Taste. Hello, I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein here at the Wolfson campus, Miami Culinary Institute of Miami-Dade College. Welcome to SoFlo Taste. Did you know that the average American drinks 2.1 coffee drinks a day? I think that's absolutely insane. With all that coffee being consumed, I thought it would be kind of fun to pair coffee with food. Yes, coffee. So let's get cooking. Rafael Perrier is here with me. Hi,
Hello.
dear. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
So Rafael does my coffee program at Cena, our restaurant, and he does a lot of other events with us. To me, he has some of the best coffee there is. His company is called Kawa. What does Kawa mean, first of all?
Kawa means coffee.
Right.
It's the original name for coffee. Coffee we discovered in Ethiopia, in the Kaffa region, and from Kaffa it became Kawa.
Okay.
It's also a slang in French for a cup of joe.
Oh,
And that's how we kind of came out with the name
awesome.
of the company.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you make a beautiful cup of coffee, and
Thank
we
you.
love having you. But I thought it would be kind of cool to bring them in to pair coffee. Now, coffee, believe it or not, is paired beautifully with a lot of different kinds of foods. But you have to know what kind of coffee beans sometimes, to go with different kinds of food. So I'm going to start by cooking one of my favorite things. It's a tomato tart. But you're not going to pair that yet because I have to cook that for a little while.
Okay.
So while I start preparing this, will you just make me any cup of coffee that
Sure.
you want to give
My
me?
pleasure.
Because I need
Yes.
some coffee. Let me talk to you about a tomato tart. I learned how to make this in the south of France, in Provence, when I lived there for a little while. And you can purchase some savory pie dough, which is called pâte brisée. There's something a lot of people know of called pâte sucrée, which is a pie dough, but that's sweet. Sucré means sweet, right? It doesn't mean
Yes.
sugar, it means sweet.
No, it means sweet, yes.
Right. But this is pâte brisée, so it's an unsweetened pie dough, which you can purchase. So I use a tart shell, and after that part, it's fairly easy. I take some fresh and ripe, very important that you get some really nice ripe tomatoes. And I'm just going to slice them, I don't know, that's about 1/4 inch thick. And then I've got some fresh tarragon chopped up, a little bit of fresh rosemary and chives. And finally, a little bit of chèvre, which is soft, fresh goat's cheese right over here. You want to use some good salt and pepper. So, of course, I'm using some sea salt on this one. What have you got for me?
A little double espresso with a touch of milk on it.
The one thing I love about Rafael's coffee is that I don't need sugar, which, let's face it, I was brought up in Miami, so I don't know how to drink coffee without sugar, but you don't have any bitterness, and I don't know how you do that.
It's the roasting process.
It's the roasting process. You want to talk to me about that?
Yes.
I'm going to show them really quick. I'm going to put a little bit of extra virgin oil on my tart shell, a little bit of salt, and then I'm going to start laying the tomatoes while you tell me about roasting coffee beans.
I mean, one of the key, we do a lot of blends, meaning that we mix different coffees. What you're drinking right here is Brazil, Colombian, Guatemalan, and Indian. The Guatemalan coffee gives you sweetness to the coffee. The Brazil is a body to it. The Colombian is the acidity. So it's a balance of all those coffees that make that cup. The roasting process that we have, we don't over roast the coffee.
Let me just show you real quick how I layer that. This is something you might see in France, right?
Oh yeah,
A
definitely.
tomato tartlet?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, chèvre, or fresh
Chèvre on
goat's
top.
cheese, right?
Oh yeah. Sure.
Very typical, no?
That's my daughter's favorite cheese.
Is it?
Oh my gosh, she eats
My
that.
son hasn't found like a taste for chèvre yet. All right, so I'm just going to put that around, and then one right in the center. Kind of push that in a little bit. All right, so I have fresh tarragon. Now, tarragon has that anise flavor, so don't go too crazy with it. Again, rosemary, a very strong herb. Don't go too crazy with that either. And fresh chives, which are just beautiful. Sliced really nice and thin. chives in the onion family, so I go a little bit heavier with them. And then I'm going to top that with some more extra virgin oil. And then sea salt, some black pepper. Rafa, be careful, I'm going to go in that oven right behind you.
Sure.
So, yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, you know how to open an oven. Thank you.
I guess so, yeah, I figured it out.
Yeah, this isn't an easy oven to open. All right, so that's going in. Now, I would do in a home oven 400 degrees. Here I'm in the culinary school. This oven is pretty intense, so I'm going 350 in this oven. And I basically just want those tomatoes to get really nice and juicy and the color of the chev to get darkened and for everything to kind of settle into that tartlet. When we come back, we're going to talk beignets, one of my favorite talking points and conversations. SoFlo Taste will return right after this. Welcome back to the show. We are on SoFlo Taste, and I am here with my good friend, Raphael Perrier.
Oui.
So we are talking pairings, coffee pairings, and the next recipe I'm going to make right now is beignet, the famous donut from New Orleans. Also, it's actually a French donut. That's how they call donuts in France, is beignets, right?
Yes, we don't have donuts with beignets.
Beignets are actually made with yeast. They start out with yeast, so it's a risen dough. And usually they're cut square rather than the round way that we cut donuts,
Yes,
correct?
exactly.
I'm going to get started, and then I will ask you to make me whatever you think would pair with it. Right here I have a little bit of warm water in this mixing bowl, and I'm going to add some yeast to it. You know what? I'm going to mix it a little bit, just a little bit. And after I mix it, I like to let that sit for a few minutes, let that yeast get going, and then I add to it some sugar, salt, egg, and milk, evaporated milk. Mix that up a little bit. All right, so once that mixes up pretty well, I'm going to add flour in 2 stages and shortening. So the flour, I'm going to add about half to 3/4 of it now, let it come together, and then I'll add the rest. So while I do this, you want to tell me about what you're going to pair?
So we're going to pair it with the New Orleans coffee drink, which is the chicory coffee.
Is chicory truly a New Orleans coffee drink?
It is.
Is it a bean?
No, it's actually the fact that you mix the chicory and the coffee.
And why don't you tell everybody what chicory is?
Chicory is a root. It's actually the root from the endive,
Okay.
which is kind of a salad. So they take the chicory, the roots, and they actually roast them like coffee and grind it like coffee.
Do you know how long ago they came up with that?
Yes, it started during the Civil War. What happened, the French, they thought the coffee, the drip coffee, wasn't strong enough for them.
Okay.
So they decided to add some chicory to it to actually give more body to the coffee.
If I'm in New Orleans,
Yes.
I don't know how to have beignets without the chicory coffee. And it's kind of bizarre, you know, I'd never think that
Yeah, you wouldn't
came
think that.
from the endive root. I would think that people would stay away from anything that had to do with the endive for coffee because it's so bitter, but
Sure.
it doesn't make it more bitter to me.
No,
It
it
just
doesn't
makes
at
it
all.
more delicious.
And you can make it at home if you want. You just mix 30% of chicory and 70% of coffee.
So you're going to make that
Yes.
now? Okay.
I'll give you some, yes.
Cool. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So the dough is coming together. You see how that's all come together now? So that's exactly what you want. And once it's all mixed together, put it in a bowl and let it rest inside your fridge. And look how, smell how yummy that smells.
I know, it's amazing.
Isn't it delicious?
I love that smell, yes.
And it should really like triple in volume. I like to punch it down a few times and let it rise again. And I have oil set at 350 degrees. And all we're going to do is put a little bit of, oh, yum.
Here's your
sorry.
coffee. Careful, it's hot.
Thank you. Put a little bit of flour down. I'm actually going to cut half of that out because this is enormous. It's so pretty.
My.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
beautiful.
Wow.
All right. So I'm just going to delicately roll this out. All right, so I'm going to cut these into squares. Cut off those ends. And I don't know, how many beignets can you eat?
How many can I eat? Oh my.
A lot, right?
Oh yeah.
I know, there's something about a donut that I just don't really have a limit on donuts. It's a terrible thing. All right, so let's go right into the oil. Wish me luck, Rafa.
Good luck. I think you'll be okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you want to see puff.
Oh my.
Oh, hello, gorgeous. You see?
my.
It's starting to inflate.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Jeez.
Want to make sure that your oil is good and hot, and you want to make sure that your oil doesn't have any flavor. So I talk about this a lot. My favorite oil is grapeseed oil for frying. So a pastry chef that I adore taught me a trick once that I tried one time, and it worked pretty well. If you feel like making fresh donuts or beignets at home, you're not going to believe what works really well. This works better, obviously. It's always better homemade and fresh. However, purchased biscuit dough,
No way.
I swear, rolled out and fried makes a pretty darn good beignet in a pinch.
Wow.
And look how great these are. The best thing about this is that they're not greasy. Not at all. They're just beautiful. And the one thing about beignets in New Orleans, if you go to Café du Monde, it looks like it's snowing because
all the time.
the powdered sugar is everywhere. And it's awesome. And I think the more the better. I know I'm going a little crazy. I'm sorry. All right. I think we should try our pairing.
Ah, we'll
yeah?
try. Yes.
Bon appétit.
Bon appétit.
Salut.
So,
And thank you
thank
for
you.
being here.
My pleasure. Careful, it's hot.
Okay. Marriage,
well.
marriage made in heaven.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, never.
It's delicious. It's not bitter at all.
It's just unique, you know, it's not like any other coffee.
It is a beautiful morning here in Fort Lauderdale, but I could use a pick-me-up. Hi, I'm Hunter Frankie on the road for SoFlo Taste. So let's see. There's a Starbucks over there. There's a Starbucks over there. There's a Starbucks over there. But I don't want to go that far. Lucky for me, there's Edelson. Hey, hey. What's up, man? How you doing? Good, man. How are you? I'm good. I'm ready for some coffee.
This is Edelson Cremonese, proud owner of Coffee Hub, where cycling meets coffee bar. Coffee to go. Literally. Both Edelson and his coffee are not your average Joe. Edelson's coffee bar is one of 6 in the world, and the only one in America.
It's a tricycle coffee bar. It's all manpower with the propane gas. I have to paddle to grind the coffee. I have to paddle to work the water pump, get the water into the machine. Every time I paddle, I grind 2 shots of coffee. I make cappuccinos, I make macchiatos, I make espresso, and I can make the Americano. Everything is handcrafted. It's a great experience. I do have a clutch that I can just switch right here in the back. Then once I come down here, I switch, and I'm ready to brew some coffee. Remove my handlebar. Handlebar goes underneath, and that's it. So to brew my coffee, purge a little bit, 1 shot, 2 shots. Wow. That is awesome. You temp, get that pressure on it. Just purge a little bit again. If you can look, like I said, the experience, look down here, you see that crema going down. It's beautiful to see.
Yeah, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
So this is built specifically for you.
Exactly. I'm from Brazil. I've been here for 14 years, and I think South Florida doesn't have that strong specialty coffee community. And I just want to introduce the good coffee to the people down here. I do have a little sink here where I can just dispense the leftover, paddle. I'm building the water pressure.
Okay.
And I can just wash my pitcher. I was able to mix my 2 passions, which is coffee which is cycling and pleasing people.
That's fantastic. I'm gonna taste some of this right now and see how we do.
Enjoy it.
That is delicious. This is the best cup of coffee I've ever had.
Thank
and it's
you.
the best experience I've ever had at a coffee shop
Thank you.
that moves.
Thank you.
But don't take my word for it.
I love this one. The cappuccino?
Beat Starbucks?
Yeah. It's delicious. It's not bitter at all, without any sweetener. And there's enough foam on top.
Fantastic Java Mama Steve, man, hot ass latte brew.
Well, I had a lot of fun hanging out with Edelson. He's taking a coffee break, so I'm going to take over the coffee hub for him. I'm Hunter Frankie on the road for SoFlo Taste. Oh, I can see how this job could become a grind. Oh God. Oh God. Oh no. Ah!
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein here with Raphael Perrier, my coffee guy, my personal coffee guy today. Tell us a little bit about coffee, what it looks like when it's raw, what it looks like when it's roasted. I am melting some chocolate over a double boiler for a flourless chocolate cake.
Yeah, that smells good.
Thank you.
I like that. The coffee bean. Coffee is it's a berry.
Right.
It grows on a tree.
Yes.
People collect the berries. One of the best things is when people handpick the berry, which gives a great quality to the coffee. The most expensive coffees are handpicked, high altitude grown, and usually shade grown also. So you get the cherry. It's handpicked, and you have a little machine that takes the pit out of the cherry. That's actually the cherry pit
Okay.
right here. After that, they just let it dry on the sun for about 3 months.
Wow.
Just let it dry. 3 months on the sun, and then shipped to us. And
Wow.
you put it into a roaster, 400 and so degrees.
Right.
About we go to 426, 430, and the coffee goes from green to beautiful roasted coffee that everybody knows.
I added some butter while Rafael was teaching me about coffee. So this is melted chocolate and butter in here. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of sugar. So what do you like to pair with chocolate? Adding eggs, by the way. I wanted to learn from you what it is that you can drink with this without it overpowering either way, whether it's the dessert or the coffee.
I think a good cappuccino with a flourless cake that you're making is amazing.
Is a good pairing?
Oh, it's amazing.
And
Yes.
why is that?
Because the cappuccino is not too strong on the coffee taste. It still has that little milk to it. It kind of pair very well with the cake itself.
Okay.
It's
All right, so I'm sifting cocoa, which pretty much acts like the flour in this recipe. So I'm just going to mix this together. And the egg in it is really what helps it to be nice and moist. Just pour that in here.
oh my.
And it has a piece of parchment paper on the bottom. And it's all, I like to use butter. I rub butter all around the pan and the parchment paper, but you can use spray if you want to. And evenly spread that out and bake it for about 25 to 30 minutes. Honestly, I like 23 minutes better, 22 minutes, so that it's a lot more moist. And here's how it comes out.
Wow.
It's nice and flat, very dense. Let's see if it worked out for us. There we go. And a little bit of fresh cream topping. A lot of people serve it with raspberries or raspberry sauce. I kind of let the chocolate speak for itself, personally. Do you want to try the cake?
Yes, I would love to.
I'm going to sit here and do this. It's okay?
It's bon, okay. C'est a compliment, Michelle, for you.
Yes,
Right?
we do.
It's awesome.
Good. Welcome back. So our tomato and chèvre tart is ready.
It's beautiful.
So I thought this might be the most challenging pairing for you, but I wasn't sure. What do you think?
I think a good espresso with that would be amazing.
Okay. Why?
The simplicity of the coffee itself, which there is no milk, so you don't compete
not
with the
fighting.
cheese. No,
Right.
exactly. I think it's a nice touch at the end to have just a little hint of coffee.
Okay.
And it's not too big.
Cool.
Oh, that tart looks so good.
Thank you.
Oh my.
Thank you.
Here's your coffee.
Share it with you.
I don't know.
Thank you. You start.
I
You
start?
have the first, please. You're my lovely guest today, so you take a bite, and then I'm going to taste it. I really want to see how it goes with the coffee.
Yes, I'm telling you, it'll be.
Good?
Oh my god.
Yeah?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, that's good.
Oh yeah. And drink a little coffee behind that. It complements the whole taste.
This is my breakfast. Thank you so much for being here, Rafa.
Pleasure. Thank you so
It's
much
so
for
nice
having
to
me.
see you.
I know, so good to see you.
I hope you all have enjoyed this show. I have enjoyed it thoroughly. I learned so much. And I'm going to finish this tomato tart with goat cheese without you. You can watch us and be jealous. Thank you all for joining us on SoFlo Taste. I'm Michelle Bernstein. We will see you next week. See you later.